Hello my bookish friends, welcome or welcome back and happy camp weekend-ween. I have a lot to go over and it is day one of the readathon, Camp Weekend-Ween. This is hosted by Gabby at Gabby Reads and Olivia at Olivia Reads a Latte. I will link them down below. We're going to vlog this. First of all, it's a 3-day readathon if you're not aware, starting on October 29th, today, through Halloween, October 31st. There are some prompts for this readathon. Number 1 is read a book with a green cover. Number 2 is read a book with a group of teens as the main characters. Number 3 is read a slasher, thriller, or horror book. And number 4 is read a book with a camp setting. I will read a slasher, thriller, or horror book. But other than that, I'm not really interested in meeting these prompts. I'm just gonna read for the weekend. And so my plan is to read some shorter books. That way I can actually accomplish something because I'm very busy this weekend. First of all, today is Friday. Today is gonna be my most free day. However, it's already 11:29, so I'm just now getting started. We do have the Nugget this weekend, so my time will be preoccupied with her for a lot of the time. Tonight I have the live show with Beth at Beth's All Booked for her book club this month, which we will be discussing The Patient by Jasper DeWitt. Tomorrow, Saturday, is going to be a busier day for me. I have class from 1 to 4 p.m. and then I have a whole bunch of assignments that are due tomorrow as well by midnight, but I couldn't do them because we haven't learned the material yet. We will learn it in class tomorrow and then I have to finish it by the end of the day, which is really not a good situation, but it is what it is. I've done as much as I could. And then Sunday obviously is Halloween. We've got a 5-year-old. We're gonna be doing Halloween things. So, you know, I'm gonna do my best to get some reading in over this weekend, but I'm not super hopeful that I'm gonna accomplish a whole lot. But because of that, I've picked out some really short books that I can get through, novellas, and hopefully I can just pop these out. I may even end up reading 3 or 4 of them, which would be cool. Let me tell you about them. I just started. This is The Dispatcher by John Scarlxrd. I have read by him Lock In and Head On. And I loved these books. I don't really know what to classify these as. I think it might be classified as sci-fi actually, but I'm not sure. But this book, if you haven't heard of it, I've never heard anyone talk about this on BookTube, but it's so good. And it's about, it says near future thriller. So I guess it is considered thrillers. So there's this contagious virus that makes its way around the globe. It ends up locking a person into their own body. And actually, I think there is a version of this in real life. I don't know if it's called this, but they call this Hayden's syndrome. You're alive, you're fully conscious, but you cannot move, speak, anything. A quarter of a century after this disease presented itself, they have invented technology. It's kind of like an AI, not an AI, but like a body, a separate body, like a robot body that they somehow hook up to their brain and they can control it, walk around the world, but everybody knows that's a Hayden. Like that's a person that has Hayden's syndrome when they see these bots walking around. And there are complications because they have to be able to have someone care for their actual body. We're following Agent Chris Shane. There are Hayden-related crimes that this detective is in charge of. He has a female partner who does not have Hayden's syndrome, so they're kind of like a duo. There are also people that are integrators that had symptoms of Hayden's but never got locked in, and those people's bodies can be used. People with Hayden's can hire them to use their bodies for a while to do things like taste food, have sex, things like that. And so there's a crime related to this and they are on the case. It's really good. And then this one's the sequel. So I saw this short story or novella called The Dispatcher by John Scarlxrd and I thought I want to read this. And this one's interesting because it's in this world where basically murder is not a thing anymore. People who have been murdered start coming back and it's like a reset. For some reason, 999 out of 1,000 people who get murdered, they just show back up alive in the state that they were before they were murdered. So his job is a dispatcher. He works for insurance companies. He goes into operating rooms for risky operations. And if they're kind of past the point of no return, but the person hasn't died yet, he can therefore murder them. He has a special machine, and it's basically like intentional murder for the purpose of helping them live, because their chances are greater if they can just kind of rewind and get back to that reset button. I hope this is making any kind of sense. These dispatchers take underground gigs that are in legal gray areas. So there's all these moral and ethical implications for this dispatcher. And anyway, it just sounds really interesting. And then there's also, and this is I think it's a novella because it's only it was like 2 hours. I can't remember, but I've got an hour and 12 minutes left. I just started it. And then there's a sequel to that called A Murder by Other Means, which is a 3.5-hour audiobook. Like, if I can put this on 1.5 speed, I can get both of these done this afternoon. This could be cool. I also found a novella by Samantha Downing called Sleeping Dogs Lie. Don't know what it's about, but it's by Samantha Downing. Probably gonna read that as well. That's only a 2-hour audiobook. And I also have some books in the mail right now that should be here by the end of the day today. Talking. Doing a lot of talking here, Denver. So much talking. Do you want to say hi to the people? Hi. So I have a very anticipated horror novella that I've been wanting to read coming called Nothing But Blackened Teeth. This is by Cassandra Carr. And again, don't know what this is about. Just know that it's supposed to be scary and disturbing, and a lot of people have liked it. Looking forward to that. And then also another novella called Last Case at a Baggage Auction. And I've never heard anyone talk about this one. It's supposed to be a horror novella. It is by Eric J. Gunyard. From what I understand, it's set in Detroit, where I'm from, in like the 1960s, and these guys, they buy these suitcases. It's kind of like, what's that TV show where they buy like storage units? Storage Wars, is that what it is? You kind of bid up to a certain point, and then it's a risk as to whether or not the value is greater than what you paid for it. So they buy these suitcases, and they find a suitcase. This one has this like, is it a phonograph in it? One of these things, what are they called? I think it's called a phonograph. Anyway, the music on the phonograph starts to drive people crazy or something like that, and makes you want to listen to it more and more, and there's something really sinister about it. So that's all I really remember about the synopsis, but it sounded interesting to me, so that's on the way, and that should be in today too. If I could get all 5 of these novellas read in the next 3 days, I would feel very accomplished. It could be feasible. For right now, I need to run some errands, so I'm going to continue listening to this audiobook, and I'll check in with you when it feels like I have something to say, or when I'm done with it, which should be shortly. Okay, finished the dispatcher, and I created a template for Instagram, which I'll pop up here so you can see it. Isn't it cute? To track my progress through Camp Weekend-Ween. And it's only 1:30 right now, so I'm going to start on the second book, but let me tell you about the first book. Well, I say book, I think it's an Audible original, and it's narrated by Zachary Quinto, who I'll pop up here as well, who you may remember from Heroes, from StatTrak. He's done a lot of stuff. He's an absolutely amazing narrator. I'm wondering if he narrated Lock-In as well, because his voice sounds really familiar. Yeah, it was basically like a quick little mystery. Of course, I wish it was longer, but I feel like that is the sign of a good novella. I don't even know if it's called a novella. Like, it's a short story because it's not in print. So I don't know what this is, but I consumed it and I enjoyed it. It was fun. It kind of ended on a little bit of a cliffhanger, so I'm excited to get into the second book. I do recommend it. I think John Scalzi's writing his dialogue, I think, is what I like about his writing. It's very, I wouldn't say like overly like witty or clever, but it comes off as real, and he does write, you know, male lead characters that are like kind of in a detective type situation from what I've read anyway of his. I know he's got a ton of books. Those characters come off as really genuine and they kind of draw you in. So I appreciate that. And that was so in this, whatever this was as well, The Dispatcher. So yeah, I'm going to continue on with the second book, whatever it's called. I'm hoping to get some book mail here in a second. Oh, I'm also... Just so you know, I am just over halfway through the Book of Accidents. I'm not going to continue reading this for the readathon. I'm going to put it on hold until the readathon's done, because half of this book is going to be more than everything I'm going to read for this entire readathon. And plus, like, what I'm feeling about this so far is the writing style. Chuck Wendig is amazing. I would compare his simile to Gillian Flynn in the sense that he just comes up with these really, really beautiful and poignant similes. This does kind of give me It vibes by Stephen King. It has that paranormal aspect. There are sections though where I'm like just not really interested, and even though the chapters are short, it does feel like it's dragging a little bit for me, so I'm not gonna devote the rest of my time for Weekend-Ween. Gosh, that's so hard. I want to say Camp Summer Ween to this book because I want to just have that be separate from this readathon. But I will finish that, you know, after this is done. So I'll get back to you guys later. I'm going to start the next one, Murder by Other Means, and it's a continuation of this, also narrated by Zachary Quinto. So here we go. Like, I've just been like laying in bed and listening to this audiobook, and that can't happen because it's putting me to sleep. And I really didn't get much sleep last night, so I am tired. So if I sit in bed, I'm just going to fall asleep. Hence the coffee. I think I'm going to do some laundry and organize. I have finished the second book, whatever you want to call it, short story by John Scalzi. It wasn't as good as the first one, but it was still good and still solid. I stopped and participated in the live show at Beth's All Booked for her book club this month. Check out Beth's channel if you don't know her. I'll link it down below. So I finished the second John Scalzi book. He's really good at diving into the ramifications of the differences between our world and that world. In that world, you basically can't be murdered. So instead, the bad guys were finding this workaround because if someone's murdered, they just reset back to where they were not that long ago. They end up naked in a place that they feel safe. Now these guys are threatening people that they love, saying like they can't murder them, but they can torture them. So if someone says, I'm going to either torture your husband, wife, partner, whatever, or you are going to kill yourself. I guess trigger warning for suicide. So like, how are all these deaths happening? I don't understand, but it's actually murder by proxy, basically. Anyway, yeah, it was pretty good. And so then I started the short story by Samantha Downing, the novella by Samantha Downing, and that is called Sleeping Dogs Lie. All of these are free on Audible, by the way. All three of these, they're free on Audible right now. I don't know if that's like always, but right now they are. I am more than halfway done with the Samantha Downing novella. We're following this dog walker, and she goes to take the dog back to the client's house, and she finds the client dead in his bathroom. And so the cops are called, and it's basically like we're getting from the perspective of this dog walker and from this female cop or detective. I'm not sure which one. I have a feeling that our dog walker is going to be an unreliable character because she's coming off as way too innocent. And there's stuff going on with the man who died's ex-wife where she hired the dog walker to like look into what the husband was doing because she suspected that he was committing fraud, and she's trying to get everything in the divorce. It's really interesting. I'm wondering when it's written though, because it seems like the writing is not quite as well done as some of the other books by Samantha Downing that I've read. So I'm wondering if this is like an earlier work of hers, but still very entertaining, and you know, I haven't finished it yet, so I can't give you my full opinion. Oh yeah, my freaking Amazon order got pushed back. So my other two novellas that I have coming via Amazon may not be here until Sunday. It says either tomorrow or Sunday. So if I finish these three, then my plan is to start reading Bunny by Mona Awad, because I just got the audio for that. I loved All's Well, and I want to read some of her backlist. So that's the plan on that front. Good. Impromptu campfire with hot cocoa. Alright, we got hot cocoa. We'll try. Will you get the door for me, please? What? Will you get the door?
also called there.
Okay, look it out. Hopefully our fire will stay put. Alright. Perfect.
And they run down and they put the witches in the oven, so they never got them again. They looked inside inside the witch's house. Then guess what they saw?
What did they see?
Treasure!
Treasure!
And then the father and mother found them. The end.